Welcome to the 513 podcast. I'm here with Mr. Vince. I'm Bryson. We're here with Vince. How you doing today?
I'm doing better than Sunday, that's for sure.
Well, kind of glad we didn't go over this Sunday because now we've got PFF grades and everything to go over this. But I was also kind of in a shitty mood. So it's been a few weeks since we've last recorded one of these. So for Rusty, just apologize. We're just gonna go over a few things that we saw on Sunday and some things that have seen this season, just in general, kind of comparing them to what we saw last season around this time. So we're gonna start off today with Joe Burrow and this offensive struggles. The Bengals have put up, what was it? We put up 17 points last week, and then we just put up
20 points
we
last week and
20
17
20
points
points
this
last
week.
week and 17 points Sunday. So, I mean, for an offense that supposedly has this top 10 or this top 5 even talent on this team, like what do we think is happening? It's, Joe Burrow and his surgery, Joe Burrow not, being Joe Burrow, or is it just lack of communication?
It's 100% everything overall as a whole. The whole team needs to get this right, mainly with the offense. I think the biggest start of it all, though, is with the play calling because with the players on the field, I understand that it can overcome bad coaches, but the play calling needs to be in place before any of the players get right. When the play calling gets right, that's when the players can start flowing and this offense can show its true potential. But for the offensive line and how abysmal it's been through the first 2 games, the main weak points are at tackles. Lael Collins and Jonah Williams, I think, are the biggest culprits right now as to the reason why the Bengals O-line is struggling so much. Um, the interior of the line, when you look at the stats and just the film, they actually play way better than it may seem. Alex Kappa and Ted Karras have been fantastic signings. They have been everything advertised. And Cordell Volson has really stepped up since his first week showing. His week 1 as a rookie, you can get a pass because he had to go against Cameron Hayward. And even then, he had some moments here and there.
I
In the
thought he
Dallas
played
game,
well
he
in
was
that second half for the Steelers game.
yeah,
I
exactly.
I didn't notice him as much. He's just kind of figuring his way out.
Exactly, and in the Dallas game, he played almost perfect, like lights out. I don't think he let up a single hit or sack or a pressure, if I'm
Uh,
correct. I could be
I
wrong
think
on that,
he
but
gave up pressure, but I mean,
yeah,
again,
but I
going
mean,
up
again,
against that defensive line is
100%, yeah, it's he Cordell Volson has been a bright spot, and if we bring back Quentin Spain or not, it doesn't really matter to me. I like what we have in Volson, and if we get Spain, I mean, we have the chemistry there already with him. I think it would be fine either way, but I feel like if you wanna continue the development of this team and not have any more bumps in the road potentially, you're gonna wanna stick with Volson. Um, Jonah Williams, statistically, has led up the most hits to Burrow on the papers. Uh, about 5 total this season across the 2 games, while Collins has only led up about 3 of the hits. I'm not talking about, overall blocking or anything, I'm just talking purely allowing hits to Joe Burrow because that is ultimately the goal, is to not let Burrow get hit. And Collins has had his mishaps, and he's overall blocking has been worse than Jonah's, but as far as letting Joe Burrow get hit, Jonah's been the main culprit as of late. It's mainly just inconsistencies, but for me personally, I put out a thread on this. I believe, in Collins to right the ship way more than Jonah right now because with Collins, we have viable excuses. Or possible excuses, if you will. He hasn't played much in the last few years due to injuries. He didn't really play that much of the camp and missed a lot of practice time. He's probably rusty, and I can see him finding his footing later in the season, hopefully. But I don't have that same insurance with Jonah, whose injury problems have been a thing of the past now, and he's in year 4, supposed to be playing his best football to date and coming out flat-footed like this. To me, Collins, I have more faith to right the ship before Jonah, but I could always be proved wrong. Um, we don't know. That's my point. We just don't know with Jonah. We don't know what the issue is with Jonah on the line. But with all of that coming into play, I think that's when you really want to start questioning Frank Pollock and his coaching ability? Has he been lackluster in his abilities as a coach? Could he do things better? And that's something we're just gonna have to figure out as the season goes on. As far as Joe Burrow goes, though, I want to hear your take on this, Bryson. What do you think is Joe's main issue right now in the offense?
Well, I think it starts right up there up front, but at the same time, he's not doing himself any favors. I feel like he's kind of holding the ball on too long because I know Joe and I know his mentality. He wants to go for these big shots every play, and that's just not how this NFL works. He needs to get out of his college mentality and he needs to start putting drives together. And we've seen that in the second half of both games, really, of where he starts driving together. He takes what he had in the first half and applies it in the second half. But that's also where the second part comes in. He needs to learn how to adjust in that first half. We cannot be coming out as slow as we have the past 2 weeks. It's not how you're going to win football games. And I thought they had learned that last year, but evidently we haven't. Because, well, I mean, even last year, you come out flat against Kansas City both times, and then miraculously come back. You did it in the Super Bowl. You did it versus the Titans. You did it versus, I mean, even the Raiders game was kind of iffy. So even looking back to last year, they will always kind of have been that second half team. But in this current day NFL that we're playing in 2022, teams have already seen what we have put out on offense. We just need to adapt, and that's kind of where coaching comes in, where Joe comes in, where he's got to you know, adapt is probably the biggest thing. You have to adapt to what teams are going to throw at you. They've been playing a lot of cover two, a lot of too high, but we've known this. We knew they were going to do that. So go out there and plan or play like you know it.
Absolutely. I mean, I think for me, when looking at Joe Burrow and just watching him in the pocket, to me in the Dallas game, it just seemed like he was looking at the defenders first before looking at which receiver was open. Do you feel like you saw that in some cases?
Yes, I feel like his But he that's a part of his game. He's gonna try and make defenders go this way so he can get this guy open on the other side. But at the same time, he's also looking too far downfield at first. You should, as an NFL quarterback, in my opinion, you should always look at your checkdowns, then you progress downfield. I mean, not even really checkdowns, just look short field first and then work your eyes down there. Because in the back of your head, you should know what every guy is doing because you're an NFL quarterback. This is stuff you should know. You should know what every guy's doing. You're the commander of the offense. So look downfield or look short field first, and then move your eyes downfield. And I feel like he's keeping his eyes downfield and not even really paying attention to what he has in the flats.
Yeah, it seems like Jamar Chase has been his only view and target lately going in these games, and I feel like he needs to learn to spread the love around a little bit more. But that also fits into scheming and play calling, which we'll get to in a second. To wrap up on Joe Burrow, I feel like it's like Zim said, it's a gift and it's also a curse. Joe Burrow is always going to play that hero ball. It's always going to end up either winning us the game or losing us the game. It could take us to the promised land like it did last year, or it could result in an 0-2 start like this. Not saying Joe Burrow is the main blame for all of this so far. I mean, because he's obviously not, but it definitely plays a part. I feel like in adapting to the NFL level, I think Joe Burrow needs to get rid of his hero ball mentality on first and second down and just read the field and what it gives him. That's what he needs to focus on doing. I mean, because hero ball is what makes quarterbacks special and what separates great teams from good teams. So Joe, I just want him to keep the hero ball on third and fourth down, first and second down. I just want him to go through each read at the from the first level all the way down. And if the first level gives him something, you need to take it. That's all I feel like that Joe Burrow needs to adapt to. But moving on, I think the next thing we need to talk about is Zach Taylor and his play calling and him as a head coach and what we think. After a couple days to digest, Bryson, what do you think so far of Zach Taylor, and what do you think needs to be done as far as being in his shoes?
Well, I've quite clearly, if you've checked my Twitter from Sunday and on, I've been trying to, trying to turn away from him for a bit. That's not, I mean, The reason being, we've had this guy for 4 NFL seasons now, one being a COVID year, but, he's been a coach for 4 years. His first year, the roster sucked. The second year, Joe Burrow goes down with an injury. The third year, you go to the Super Bowl, and now you're in your 4th year. What are we doing? Like, your offense, you have top 5 talent in offense. You're commanding this offense. You're calling the plays. Like, why are you only putting up 18.5 points a game? It's kind of confusing to me, but at the same time, it's expected because we've all known that Zach Taylor has not been the brightest when it comes to this play calling stuff, and now it's really showing early on in this NFL season. So, in my opinion, I love the dude. I've defended the dude from day one, but at this point in time, I feel like it's time to change directions in the play calling. For now, you obviously can't fire him mid-season because that just destroys everything. You can't fire him after the season because you just extended the guy. You have to keep him and keep the trust that we've had in him before the season started. But this offensive play calling is not it. But then, as I say that, in the back of my head, we have this season has started off exactly like last season had, except for we didn't get the miracle in the Steelers game that we got in the Vikings game. You start off Joe Burrow's turning over the ball way too many times, and then you've got you know, offensive struggles in general. The defense is playing lights out, but your offense can't keep up. It's kind of like the Bears game and the Viking game combined into one, kind of at both games. So we all know how last season turned out. We kind of get going in the midseason. We all know what we're doing. Everybody's on the same page. Everybody's going and going and going. But the thing is, you can't have that 10-7 record again, or you're not going very far. It's just how it is going to be. You're not winning the division at 10-7. You're not making you're barely making the playoffs, if at all, at 10-7 in this current day AFC. So, in my opinion, we have to go in a different direction for now. Let Bryce Callahan handle this offense. See what it does
Brian.
for a few games. Brian, excuse me. Brian Callahan for a few days or a few weeks. See what he does, and if it's not what we need, then we can go back. Which, I mean, it's a kind of a killer in the season, but if that's what you need to do, then that's what you need to do. That's kind of where I'm saying. Zach needs to stay the head coach. I know I've kind of, the Twitter and everything kind of put out their stuff differently, but you have to
Oh,
keep him because,
overreactions, right?
yeah, it's overreactions. You have to keep him at the head coach because at the end of the day, the culture he's built, the leadership he's built, the players support him. Can't be ignored. He's a great head coach. He's a great leader of men. He just needs to fix the offense. And even with Brian saying they got to keep, or him saying to Brian that you got to keep open-minded, stay open-minded, and switch some things up because it cannot stay like this.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% understand what you're coming from, and I agree with most of what you said there. Zach Taylor, I've defended so many times, but on this occurrence, I just can't do it anymore. Um, Zach Taylor as a person and as a head coach has been nothing but amazing and a breath of fresh air. I cannot lie to you. These past 3 years have been a breath of fresh air. Even with the horrible start to Zach Taylor's coaching career, I've always kept the faith in him. And it paid off last year, it seemed too. But, with the wins and the magical run that we had, we overlooked some issues there with Zach Taylor. Throughout the season, the offense was always flat at some points, it seemed, with the Bengals last year.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
most of the time when the offense did get rolling, it was just taking deep shots and 50-50 balls to Chase and Higgins maybe, and I feel like, the scheming has just never been there with Zach Taylor, and it's time to give Brian Callahan a chance to see what he can do as a play caller. I think if we get Brian Callahan as a play caller, it can tremendously improve the team, at least give us more of a chance and maybe more fluidity on the offense and more open-minded targets, if that makes sense, because Jamar Chase has been the main guy being targeted lately. T. Higgins and Boyd haven't gotten that much love. I think it's just time we see Brian Callahan call plays. Again, Taylor's been a breath of fresh air. He is a great head coach. He knows how to talk to the players. He knows how to let them hear the right things. It just falls flat when it comes to the play calling. And that's something Zach Taylor has to realize himself. He cannot keep calling plays like this. And if you are going to keep calling plays like this, then you need to hand over the reins. So I think Brian Callahan is the direction we need to go for the future of this season. But if Zach Taylor is going to keep holding play calling duties to himself and not letting Brian Callahan try some things himself to see if the team can get going turned around, I feel like you got to let go of Zach Taylor because then at that point it's going to become an ego issue, and that's going to be a culture killer, and we do not want that in Cincinnati.
Yeah, I completely agree with the Brian Callahan. I mean, he was calling plays in the preseason. I'm pretty sure is what Zach said. Throughout those preseason games, and I really did love what he was calling. The play calls looked good. The film looked good. It just fell short on the execution part, but that's what you're gonna get with your second and third, four string guys. Ideal, you'd like to see some of that, work out in the preseason, and it did at times. But Brian definitely feels like the right way to go at this point in time. And then I completely agree with that ego issue. If he's going to keep it to himself, then he's got to go because you need to fix things to win games. And if he's not fixing them, then you're not going anywhere, and you're going to end up 8-9 again.
Absolutely,
But
100%. You hit it on the nail, Bryson.
moving on, we can. Quickly, I want to talk about this pass rush. It's just not there. We're calling up blitzes. Trey Hendrickson's not working. DJ Reader has always been kind of a run first type of dude, and we're missing out on Ogunjobi very badly, which is kind of a concern coming in. What are your takes on this, like, terrible? I'm gonna call it terrible pass rush because I'm pretty sure we're dead last in pass rush win rate.
It's definitely surprising to say the least. I mean, who would have thought Trey Hendrickson would have a drop off after last year like that after he just finally broke out? I mean, it might be just early game jitters. I wouldn't be too concerned about it yet, through 2 games because the defense overall has held up well, but I did see a tweet earlier today that really makes you think about the defense as a whole, and that would be, is the Bengals defense really playing good for us while the offense is playing bad, or are we just going against subpar offenses with led by Cooper Rush and Mitch Trubisky? And that's something that really you have to think about as well, and that definitely raises some concern and some eyebrows, I think, to me at least, when looking at the game. Overall, I'm not sure what you can say about it. Um, I feel like 2 games through this is too small a sample size. I think the offense, you get more of a sample size than the defense, mainly because the defense has come up big and they have made big stops when needed. But the offense, it just seems like they never get rolling when they're supposed to. Like, this offense is supposed to be a top 5 offense in the league, and we're looking like bottom 3, and it's awful. I don't understand it. So for me, I'm not going to worry about the defense yet. Uh, I'm not gonna worry about defense until week 4, week 5, maybe. Uh, Offense by then should have their things fixed. Jets have to be a must-win game. That's all I can say. If you lose to the Jets, it's game over for the season, I think. There's not really much you can do to come back from that, I believe, and it would be a real big shame if we lost to them.
You absolutely cannot start a season 0-3. That especially coming off an AFC Championship victory. That you just can't. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You don't do that. As a good team, good teams don't start off 0-3, even though, you had the Colts in 2018 go from 0-3 to the playoffs. We're not going to be that. And I truly don't think we have the right leadership. Speaking on this pass rush, though, we are currently ranked 28th via pass rush grading per PFF, and the pass rushes that we've gone against to kind of hit on this O line have been the Pittsburgh Steelers at number 13. But then what really gets me is the Dallas Cowboys are at number 2. So it's not like, speaking of this O line, we've kind of gone against some top half of NFL teams, and we're going to come up now with the Jets, who are graded out as 19th overall. But again, this pass rush being 28th is just kind of what went wrong, and I truly believe it's Larry Ogunjobi. Missing him kind of hurt us, and I know we have B.J. Hill, but I don't think he brings as much of a threat as Ogunjobi did. That's just my personal take on it. But moving forward here, throughout the season, it's the schedule is gonna kick up. You have the Dolphins week 4 after this week, and then you've got Baltimore. Both primetime games, one Thursday night, one Sunday night. You've In my opinion, these next 3 games are must-wins and are really gonna show who this team is. If we cannot beat at least one of the 2 Ravens or Dolphins, preferably Ravens, what is this team gonna be?
Absolutely, I 100% agree with you. I mean, if you drop to the Jets, you might as well you might as well put 0-5 on the wall. I mean, it really is gonna be looking like that down the barrel if we lose to the Jets somehow. I don't know what's gonna happen this week. Honestly, you could really say this game goes either way because we really don't know what the Bengals are gonna do this week. We don't know how they're gonna bounce back. We don't know what they're gonna try and fix. We don't know what they're gonna work on. We don't know what film they're gonna study. We don't know. You know? I mean, we're not there. We're not in the building. All that can tell is time, and time will tell when it comes to Sunday. So, that's pretty much all the Bengals fans can do is wait right now.
Dating back to last season, as I talked about or to hit on here about the season being similar, if that stays true, then we should expect a dominant, not dominant, but a semi-dominant victory. Joe Burrow started to come alive week 3, especially in his rushing department where his knee started to feel better. He just started to feel better. I hope that's the same. You've got the defense started to click against Big Ben, and I hope they can do the same against this Joe Flacco that's apparently lighting up the league right now at age 40, like 50 years old. He's probably in his late 30s. I'm just, over exaggerating on Joe Flacco. He hasn't been in the league for like 3 years, and all of a sudden he's great again. I don't understand it. So, I mean, you've got to beat Joe Flacco and the New York Jets. They're definitely not as good as the past few teams that we've beat. They might, probably the same as the Steelers. But this offense has got to get going. This defense we're going up against, not the greatest in the world. I mean, they're coached by Robert Saleh. But what do they have? What do they bring to the table on this pass rush? It's not the greatest, ranked 19th. As I just said, the linebackers aren't the greatest in the world. It's kind of just an average defense all around. And as this top 5 potential offense that we're supposed to have, you should go out and put up 30 points. There's no excuses this year or this week. You've got to go. This is the game to do it. You've got to find your identity, pay, you know, work through all of it, get past it, and we can build and move on to this short week that we're about to have with the Miami Dolphins, who've got ridiculous amount of speed. I'm really excited to see what we can do to Tua. But no, this week, big game. Offense has to get going. Defense needs to stay the same. We can win it. I have all confidence that we're going to come out gun blazing. I feel like everybody's pissed. I feel like everybody's upset. I feel like everybody, they're sick and tired of these back-to-back 2 heart-wrenching losses that we've experienced. It's time to go, and I have full trust that they're gonna get this done because I know the guys on the team. I know what leaders we have. I know kind of people we have. Uh, they know 0-3 is not acceptable, period.
I mean, yeah, that's really all we can do, right? So we can just hope that they right the ship, and we hope we can put their faith in the leaders. That's really all you're gonna be able to do as a Bengals fan right now, and it's gonna be hard, but, this team, they've overcome things before, they can definitely do it again. It's all about time, it's all about patience, and it's all about just putting the right pieces together. Only time will tell, though, how that all goes.
Absolutely. I thought we had everything really good today. I appreciate you taking time out doing this. But that'll conclude. Do you have anything else you want to talk about? Anything you want to hit on before we, call it call it a day?
Um, we can talk about Samaje Perine blocking the shit out of Micah Parsons.
That clip was amazing. He just destroyed him. If we could
Yeah, I
get
mean
Samaje Perine teaching Jonah how to block, we'll be good. We'll be good.
Oh, man, he was blocking on the right side. He was blocking on Collins' side, though. He maybe needs to teach Collins a little bit.
That is true. Jonah has gone against the two non-dominant pass rushers, and he struggled, which is concerning. He went against Highsmith and I think Demarcus Lawrence. I would
Yeah.
think is
It
that
no,
other
no,
edge
no,
guy.
Demarcus Lawrence was also on Collins' side. He went against Parsons on and off.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, Parsons like
That makes sense.
you actually called it before the game. You said Parsons was gonna be switching sides and stuff. I forgot I didn't think that was gonna happen, but, obviously I didn't watch enough Cowboys film.
Yep, they love using him all around. Anyway, that's all I've got tonight. Think that is that all you got?
Yeah, besides Joe Mixon needs to also learn,
Well, yeah,
cutting.
that's one
He
more
needs
thing. Joe
to
Mixon struggles have been there. He's kind of looking like he did in 2020. He's not hitting his holes quick enough. He's not breaking tackles as much as he should. He's a strong dude. He needs to learn how to break these tackles. He's going down very easily, which is very shocking. He's always kind of been like a Le'Veon
I
Bell
wouldn't
type,
say I
dancing
wou
behind the line.
I wouldn't say it's him taking the tackles as easy. I feel like it's mainly just him not his vision isn't there right now, because
Correct. Correct.
if you look at some of the plays from the backfield of where Joe Mixon's looking forward down the end zone, and you watch how these guys are blocking for him and stuff, the holes are right there. They are there, but Mixon isn't hitting them. Instead, I saw the one where Jamar Chase missed a block, but even with that missed block, he could have cut up more and he could have gained a good 5 to 10 yards. But instead of that, he tried to kick it to the outside all the way, and that ended up in a loss of 2. So, for me personally, all I gotta say about Joe Mixon is the vision needs to improve. He needs to
Yep.
learn to see the holes better.
Hit your
But,
holes and go.
yeah, that's all for me.
All right, yep, I think that's all I was gonna hit on today. So appreciate you guys' time uh listening to this. I thought we did pretty good hitting on a lot of the topics. I would appreciate it if you go around sharing it, just suggesting your friends, hey, look, we got a Bengals podcast, listen to it, or I'm gonna, you know, that sort of ordeal. That's all I got. Thank you all for listening. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate you, Vince, for taking
Of
the time
course.
and we will see you guys probably next week for a similar episode.
Yep. Everybody, Bengals Nation across. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Keep the faith. Joe Burrow can right this ship, and Who Day every day.